All right, the FBI now investigating as we get brand new details on some terrifying threats against several of President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. Now, according to Trump's team, the appointees were, quote, targeted in violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These attacks range from bomb threats to swatting. In response, law enforcement and other authorities acted quickly to ensure the safety of those who were targeted. And now we can confirm that at least 5 nominees were targeted. Top names like Elise Stefanik, Pete Hegseth, and Lee Zeldin. It's really a scary situation, given that President-elect Trump has faced down not 1, but 2 recent assassination attempts. And Democrats have faced calls to tone down their rhetoric that treats Trump as a threat to democracy. Watch this.
The profound threat he poses to our democracy.
He is a genuine threat to our democracy, and that's not hyperbole.
It's proof that Donald Trump was not lying. It is proof that people were not overreacting when we said that he presents an existential threat to our democracy.
Look, I happen to believe that Donald Trump is a major threat to our democracy. I believe that as much today as I did this time last week. Fascism is a threat, a dire one. So is authoritarian leadership. I believe that in my bones, and I believe it's what we're facing.
Did that contribute to these threats today, the swatting? Dana, this is not just violence in our midst, but this is a federal crime. This is scary stuff.
So swatting is wildly dangerous. People have died because of this, and also it's completely disruptive to families, and it's meant to intimidate you so that you might decide not to run again, or you might not want to serve. Like, who is targeting the Department of Agriculture secretary? I can't wait to meet her, Brooke Rollins. I'm all for the Farm Bill. I want to learn more. But you have to imagine that this is a targeted thing that probably is not going to stop. Now, one of the issues is it could happen from anywhere, anytime, and also we have a cyber security issue. So that is there is danger all over this. Did the rhetoric lead to it? I don't know, because I don't know who did the threats. So I think we have. I don't even know if we will be able to see. I don't think it helps, and I hate all of it. I don't want anybody to be put in that position. But this should be taken extremely seriously. Just as the threats against the Supreme Court justices should have been taken seriously after the Dobbs decision, they are still harassed all of the time. Or you think about the people who were in charge working for President Trump when he made the decision to take out Soleimani of Iran. They still need 24/7 protection because they are targeted for assassination. So I'm not exactly sure how law enforcement gets a handle on this, but I have a feeling that we will see more of it. And thankfully, all of them were smart enough to figure out a way to coordinate and put the information out there. Because the other thing is, you could have a tendency to say, let's not talk about it, because if we talk about it, it's going to increase the threats. But I think they're erring on this right side here, which is saying this is what's happening and it's wrong.
It sounds like a coordinated attack. I mean, we don't know if it's domestic, whether it's foreign related. Joey, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be careful here. I mean, it's no secret that many people in this cabinet came from this network. So I have friends that were impacted by this from that nature. But I have friends that were named that aren't from this network, that haven't been named in any of the news reports, who also received the threat. And so it's very personal to me. The first thing I say is that this is terrorism through political violence, and it should be treated as treason. Swatting, in my opinion, is attempted murder.
Yep.
And these people, if it's American people that did it, they should have the absolute book thrown at them. Mm-hmm. And if it's a foreign adversary, then that should be taken very seriously. It just happens to be some of the folks that were targeted in this might have the opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, think before you act, I guess. It's very difficult that this is the environment in which they're going into government. We just had our country come together and overwhelmingly elect a president and a party, or at least a platform. And I would like to think that Americans are better than that. So I hope in some ways it wasn't an American.
And, you know, Kat, it's not just the targets, but it's their families as well. Elise has a 3-year-old child. Lee Zeldin, by the way, his home has been targeted before. When he was running for governor 2 years ago. He had a gang-related shooting outside of his house while his teenage girls were in the house.
Right. And then, of course, any of us, as I'm sure we all have, who have met the man, he's just the nicest guy. No reason to be talking about blowing up his home. It's crazy. And like Dana said, there's no way to know whether or not the rhetoric is directly responsible. But you do have to say that there's no way it helps, right? Especially because, yes, there's a lot of examples of this kind of rhetoric against, soon to be again President Trump. But it's not just about Trump either. When these cabinet picks were announced, similar kinds of rhetoric about how this pick is dangerous for our national security. This pick has no idea what they're doing. The same sort of thing. This pick is a threat to democracy. This pick, it was the exact same type of rhetoric. And this rhetoric is very beneficial for politicians because the more divided we are, the easier we are to control. It's easier to get power as a political party by saying the other side isn't just people you disagree with, but people who are actually dangerous. Same thing with the media. It's what are you going to click on more than like new cabinet pick is dangerous for, or like, I'd rather they didn't pick this person. Nobody's going to click that article, right? So there are these benefits, but it really has real consequences, I think, because that is the logical conclusion of some of this kind of stuff, right? If you're going to say this person could be the end of the country as we know it, and look at they're appointing people that are going to further what I just said, look, this is more evidence, it's the end, then why wouldn't you want to take serious action against it?
Harold, listen, I know some Republicans, they were name calling too, but the rhetoric was really turned up high on the Democratic side. They made it seem like if Trump won, it was the end of the world.
I differ with you there. I think the language has ratcheted up entirely too much. Where Democrats are to blame, I'll blame them. Where Republicans are to blame, I'll blame them. I think, Joy, I agree with most, because if it's from a foreign adversary, we need to take a different kind of action. And if it's someone here, I think it should be treated. The kind of punishment should be meted out. I remember during the race, President Trump, one point during this last race, said if he didn't win, that this is the last election the country would face. I didn't interpret that to mean he thought the country should end. This is what happens in politics. You can go back to the race between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. The only difference was they didn't have Fox and MSNBC and CNN covering everything they said. They actually had to write it down. That's my message only is we should all tone it down. When President Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, we were all on a show together, and we all said it's time. Everyone needs to just step back and understand some people aren't taking this the right way. Some people are interpreting this in a very, very different and violent way. It's a signal and a sign of where the politics is sunk to. I pray on this Thanksgiving. I know we got a segment coming up, and I got to host it, but I pray on this Thanksgiving, we all pray around that table for the president, for the country, and for all of us to be able to show some restraint as we disagree with one another.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.